So there was a whispered affair that crossed into national security that eventually began chipping away at a government's credibility. I'm Matt Haskell. I'm a high school history teacher, and we're going line by line through Billy Joel's "We Didn't Start the Fire." In the last line here, we're in Pope Paul, Malcolm X. Now it's British politician sex. And so when Billy Joel sings British politician sex, he is nodding to the Profumo affair of 1963, which was a scandal where you had, private behavior, but then public lies, and then the risk of the Cold War all kind of like collide together. And so the cast begins with John Profumo, Britain's Secretary of State for War. And this was in Harold Macmillan's conservative government at the time. So at a 1961 country house party in Cliveden, Profumo met Christine Keeler, who was a 19-year-old model that was connected to a society osteopath, kind of a holistic doctor named Stephen Ward. Keeler was also acquainted with Yevgeny Ivanov, a Soviet naval attaché. And this was in an era of, spy hunts and nuclear brinksmanship and all these things that, that overlap that made, kind of gossip feel dangerous. So rumors spread, and in March of '63, Profumo told the House of Commons there had been no impropriety and threatened legal action against those who were suggesting otherwise. 10 weeks later, he admitted to the affair and resigned, not simply for the relationship, but for misleading Parliament. The lie made the scandal a constitutional drama. So the story begins, to grow, to widen. Papers, begin to splash Keeler and Ward across front pages. Mandy Rice Davies was another young woman in Ward's circle, and she became a household name with her this wry line in the courtroom. Well, he wouldn't he? And Ward himself was prosecuted for living off immoral earnings. And he died before the verdict, and his case remains debated as an example of scapegoating in a media storm. A government-ordered Denning report looked for espionage damage and found none, but the political damage was done. The conservatives' moral authority looked rather brittle, and the episode fed a sense that the establishment policed the public more strictly than it policed itself. So why is this in the song? Well, because British politician sex captures a turning point where tabloid culture and Cold War anxiety and accountability all kind of crash into each other. It showed that in the television age, a private affair could become a public test of truth, and that a single lie in Parliament could rattle a government already that was tired by crisis. When you tie it back to the song, we have British politician sex that condenses a cabinet minister's denial, then a televised confession, and then just the establishment being shaken up, which was all a 1963 lesson in how private choices can become public consequences. The reason why it matters is the Profumo affair is an early template for media-era political scandal. The cover-up matters more than the act, and the credibility once spent is, once you spend it, it's really hard to buy it back. It also marks the rise of a press that's willing to challenge deference to the elite. And so, there we go. If you enjoyed this particular episode, please like, comment, follow, share. I'm begging for things at this point. But anyway, I'm going to continue working our way through the remainder of the song. We're getting up here to the last portion of it. So we're in the last line of this particular verse when we go from British politician sex to JFK blown away. Thanks for watching.